A very good morning and welcome to the third episode of Move's Ecosystem Dialogues. This is Mukul Yudhveer Singh, and today with us we have CEO and founder of Exponent Energy, Arun. With us. Arun, welcome to the third episode of Move's Ecosystem Dialogues.
Thank you so much, Mukul. Thanks for having me. It's fantastic to be here.
Perfect. Arun, my first question, right? Let's straight we get jump into it. You've been focused on the commercial electric vehicle industry, since the day you started till now, and I think your future, your roadmap is also towards, commercial electric vehicles. If you could tell us why, and would you ever, pivot into passenger electric vehicles as well?
Yeah, so I think it's a question of phasing, right? I mean, before this, I was at Data, I was a founding partner there, CPO there. So if you look at the phasing of the technology of the industry, at some point in time, what was needed to prove was EVs can be better. And so the choice was either premium products in the passenger vehicle space, the two-wheeler space, to prove that EVs are better and sort of create that consumer mindset shift to say, hey, EVs are now better than petrol vehicles and diesel vehicles. I think that's happened. I think now everyone wants to go electric in every segment, and now it's no more toys for the rich, right? You have two-wheelers, passenger cars, you have commercial vehicles, you have buses, every segment going electric. Now the question is, how does everyone go electric ASAP? What's stopping us from going electric, and what's holding us back is everything around energy, right? Which is, how long does it take to charge? Does my battery last? The cost of the entire ecosystem, what's the solution? Vehicle plus battery plus charging. And so if you want to solve for this, we realize it's no more a problem of optimizing the product, the vehicle anymore. It's actually a question of solving for the energy ecosystem. Right? And so when you approach it from that point of view, which is now the next phase, is solving for energy for EVs, you realize that actually commercial vehicles are the fundamental users of energy on road. There are only 10% of vehicles in India consuming 70% of our on-road energy. Right? That concentration is crazy. Very few markets in the world are that concentrated, right? And this is the market that is always on the road. You and I, most people buying a private vehicle will go home, office back, so it's easy. Flexibility is less required. We'll all maybe park at home. If you look at the commercial vehicle space, they're doing 100, 150, 200 kilometers a day. They have to go all over the place. There's no fixed route. The need for uptime flexibility is the maximum, right? And our product, which is a 15-minute rapid charging solution, you know, you say recharge like refuel, allows us to then perfectly cater to the commercial vehicle space. So the product market fit point of view, the energy value per vehicle that we are able to sell or provide is also the highest. So it makes perfect sense. And from a sustainability point of view, if we really want to get India going sustainable, and if we talk about economic point of view, which is oil imports, etc., the segment to really be solving for is commercial vehicles, right? So that's all the reasons why we're doing commercial vehicles.
Interesting. You mentioned a term that EVs are not no anymore just toys for the rich,
Yeah,
right? But when it falls to a segment of people like us, right? Uh, it's not just that it is not just that the EVs matter for a little bit of time. They want to use it for, especially in the CEV segment, right? I think a normal three wheeler, an ICE three wheeler, is used for at least 7 to 8 years
perfect. Yeah,
before it is either sold off
you're right.
or it is so is the are the EV batteries evolved so much? Because there's a lot of talk around that, what would happen to the EV batteries, or what would happen to a vehicle altogether when the batteries go dead. It is installing new batteries is almost like buying a new three wheeler. So
Yeah.
is that a problem that you've been able to solve?
Yeah, absolutely. So just to give you tell you what we do, we provide a 15-minute rapid charging solution with a 3,000 cycle warranty, right? Warranty, not life, right? What the industry today does is roughly 4 hours to charge and 1,000 cycle warranty, right? And charge time and battery life are the fundamental two metrics that are causing all the problems or all the holding back adoption that you talked about, right? And because it takes too long to charge, OEMs have to put in a larger battery to sort of combat range anxiety, which makes it really expensive. Right? Second, because it only lasts 1,000 cycles, right? In 3 to 4 years, you have to replace it, which makes the whole proposition fairly expensive again. Um, and because of the fact that it takes 4 hours to charge, the flexibility is limited. Your ability to earn on this is also much lower. Right? So as a commercial vehicle operator, I want to keep earning. I want to be on the road, earn as much as I want, whenever I want, how I want. Right. Second, I want to pay as little as possible, and then I want the vehicle to last as much. Right. After 4 5 years, I want to be able to sell it. So residual value is very key to a commercial vehicle. And all these problems that you discuss actually needs to be solved. The vehicle is fantastic. You remove the battery, an electric commercial vehicle is fantastic. It doesn't degrade at all, apart from your tires and brakes, right? So the fundamental problem then to solve is charge time and battery life, and that's the exact two sort of problems that Exponent focus on. In fact, that's only two things we focus on to solve: charge time and battery life. Yeah.
Very interesting, Arun. But then, the when you say 3,000 cycles, right? Is this something that you provide to the OEM on paper that this is warranty for 3,000 cycles? This battery is going to last for 3,000 cycles. That's one part of the question. The other is, according to the analysis that you have done, the business models that you have created, these 3,000 cycles, in practical life, how many kilometers, or if I may call it, days of driving does it enable for a driver, for a three-wheeler driver?
Yeah. So yes, so it is actual warranty that it's not a claim. We actually give warranty, which is then to our OEM partners, and which is actually passed on to the fleet partners who buy these vehicles. And 3,000 cycle warranty is actually almost 1.5 lakh to 1.8 lakh kilometer warranty. Right, it was actually more than a diesel engine, by the way. Most diesel engines, if you buy a diesel vehicle today, you got a 1 lakh kilometer warranty on the diesel engine. So we're actually saying we want to basically kill all reasons for you to say, I will not buy electric. Right? We're saying this vehicle is like a diesel vehicle. You park it on the road, you charge it like a diesel vehicle, you park it like a diesel vehicle, you earn like a diesel vehicle, right? And the residual value is like a diesel vehicle. So we've really said, let's overachieve on that bit. That's a warranty, right? If you really look at life, we're actually our own testing we've done close to 4,000 cycles. And I think that's when we are seeing close to a 20% degradation, which I think is when you should probably call for a replacement, and that's easily 8 years plus. Yeah. And we've also got TUV to test our battery 3,000 times, right? So it's not just us testing it, but we actually had TUV to rapid charge our battery 3,000 times and see what sort of degradation you have at the end of it. And it's close to 13% degradation is what they witnessed. So that's actually fantastic. It's fairly flat. Today, like I said, the industry is seeing 1,000 cycle life. Maybe you're seeing 20% degradation with slow charging.
Interesting. I was actually coming to that point of rapid charging. There is a lot of talk outside amongst EV users, whether it is commercial or personal EVs. There's this notion developing that the more number of times you rapid charge in battery, the more chances increase. The probability of the batteries getting degraded increases. Is that something that, apart from the tech that you're using, do you think that this is also true, or do you think this is just a rumor?
See, it depends on how you do it, right? Now, if you take a cell, it's a can with chemicals. It's fairly dumb, right? Now, you and I can buy the same cell. The life and performance you get out of it have nothing to do with the cell in some sense, right? It's how you manage it, right? Now, of course, when you charge faster, it's harder to manage life. Right? But if done well, you can actually manage life and charge time independently if you fundamentally understand the mechanisms around inside the cell, especially around the anode. So when you're charging, an anode is absorbing lithium ions and storing it to release while discharge. So that's how a cell stores energy and discharges energy. Right now, the faster you charge, there are more ions around the anode. So it's something called lithium crowding. And if you don't take a lithium crowding, you have something called lithium plating. Right. Now, the fundamental problem in the industry is sort of everyone's running blind, right? Someone's building a battery with a basic BMS, someone's building a charger. So today, a charger is saying, hey, battery, I'm going to dump energy on you. Take it, right? I don't care about you, right? So it is just bombarding the anode with lithium ions, not knowing what's happening with the anode, right? Now, when you do slow charging, yes, there is a particular rate of bombarding. So you will have lithium plating, but maybe 1,000 cycle life. And if I do, like I would say, reckless rapid charging, we're just blindly rapid charging the cell and bombarding with ions, you're going to end up having uh, degradation within 200 300 cycles, right? uh, that's, I would call that reckless rapid charge, right? What we need to understand is the cell inherently has 4,000 5,000 cycle life, right? It's just that even with slow charging, we're not able to extract that because we're blindly bombarding the cells with ions, right? That's where we're a little different. We're able to uh, attack the lithium crowding problems slightly differently, and ensure that these cell. I'm sorry, we don't need it. Thanks. So lithium ions. Sorry about that. Yeah. So we are able to manage lithium ion cell uh, crowding much better, and because we're able to do this even with rapid charging, because of the accuracy and the responsiveness of systems, we're able to provide what we need to provide.
Interesting. You also spoke about battery and battery charging, as the most critical aspects of an EV, right?
Yeah.
But then these are actually complemented by every single component that goes into an EV, right?
Yeah.
So do those components also matter, in figuring out how to utilize your battery and your cells at their maximum level? Does that matter as well? And if yes, to what scale?
You mean within the battery or outside the battery?
Outside the battery as well. Outside the battery as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, to talk within the battery, of course, the BMS plays a huge role, right? The battery management system, and for example, for us, a lot of our effort with respect to accuracy. Like, if you want to be able to rapid charge a cell while managing the anode life, you need to sense very accurately with very high resolution and very time responsiveness wise very quickly. So that's a strong combination of hardware and software, and your software is only as good as the hardware, right? So and the algorithms can only work well if the raw input is better, right? So we have to build best in class hardware and software. And outside this as well, the discharge side, I think, is a decoupled problem. Once you charge a battery, how the vehicle drives, how you discharge it, of course, plays a huge impact, especially on efficiency. Right now, I can give you say 10 kilowatt hour of battery. I can charge it up in 15 minutes, but then how many kilometers are you getting from it? Right? It has nothing. That 10 kilowatt hour can give you 50 kilometers of range, or 150 kilometers of range, or 100 kilometers of range. So that has a lot to do with efficiency of the motor systems, the peripheral drive systems, the power distribution system. So there's a high voltage platform, the low voltage platform in vehicles. So all of that need to run very quite efficiently. Of course, even the mechanical systems matter, right? So like the wheel alignments to drive shaft efficiency to transmission efficiency. So all of that matters. So from grid, actually even before grid, from generation all the way to the wheel, every layer matters significantly.
Interesting. Arun, apart from helping these OEMs and these drivers spend more time on road than on charging vehicles,
Yeah.
do you see a role bigger for players like you in the other aspects of the overall commercial EV game? For instance, there could be finance, there could be insurance, there could be a lot of other things. Do you,
Yeah.
because others believe that I was just spoke I when I speak to battery swap providers and all that, they say that we play a bigger role. Do
Yeah.
you do you think that statement is true? Do you think that you guys have a bigger role to play when it comes to the adoption of commercial EVs in India?
Absolutely. So when I look at financing an EV, there are couple of three risks. Right. Risk one is the asset life, right? Which in diesel is not a risk, right? So there's a risk if I buy a Tata car, there's a residual value of the Tata car, right? So I can repossess the vehicle and resell it. But with EVs, with a lower battery life, the asset life is quite questionable. Two, the earnability risk. Right now, as a driver, you've bought this vehicle. Will you earn enough to actually pay me back? Right? And if the risk is very high, then by the financing itself is not going to work out. The third risk, which is a common risk, is whether the driver actually pays back. Standard financing risk. Now, most financiers will be okay with the third thing because that's what they understand, right? Which is the standard paying back risk, right? But the one and two needs technology interventions, right? And ecosystem interventions, and that's what we're attacking. Right? We're saying this battery outlasts diesel engines, so there's no asset life risk. Two, we are letting drivers now earn as much. Actually, our drivers are now doing 150, 200 kilometers a day. In fact, they're earning as much, in fact, more, because revenue is the same, cost is lower. The take home is much more. They're clocking as many kilometers as diesel vehicle, clocking as much revenue, and the take home is much higher. So the earnability risk is now significantly lower. So EVs already have a lower TCO, so that's not the problem, right? But the question is, am I able to earn more, right? If I'm only doing 70, 80 kilometers a day, yes, my TCO is lower, but my take home is also low, right? So that's what needs fixing, right? And that's the big part of what we provide. And because we have the ability to track our batteries, we're constantly charging them. It becomes a strong point of interaction. In fact, in the last 6 months, after someone's bought a vehicle, 100% of the charging is happening on our network, right? So we're sort of tracking that. We have the option to charge anywhere, but they're always charging on us. So it becomes a strong point of building that relationship on a daily basis. So this gives a lot of confidence for financiers to also get in and say, hey, listen, let's rethink EV financing. So that's our role in it. So we do collaborate with EV financiers. We're leveraging our warranty. We're leveraging our data from the field to start stitching together better packages for individual retail customers, which is very important to unlock, not just fleets, right? And we're also now starting buyback programs and residual value programs. So there's a sense of assurance that for these drivers to buy.
Let's touch upon the financing part a little more, because that's something that I've been following very closely, and I found that the likes of Mahindra, Bajaj, or the other ones who have their captive financing units are doing much better than startups like Altigreen or Omega CQ or Euler for that reason, right? Do you think that this is one puzzle or one part of the puzzle that, if solved correctly, can help these new entrants into the commercial EV OEM segment do much better than what they're doing already?
You're saying financing as a horizontal to support new startups?
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Uh, and I think this is one of the bits that's changing about the EV industry. I think when you go from petrol, diesel to EV, it's not just the powertrain is changing. I think, like we discussed, it's like the smartphone, right? When you went from regular phone to smartphone, it's not just you got to have processor, but fundamentally things change. Have an app ecosystem, uh, device manufacturer do different things. You have more horizontal enablers. Um, so financing as a horizontal, I think, is coming out to be quite strong, right? Because what happened in the combustion world is an OEM's fundamental strength was assembly, procurement, assembly, distribution, and financing. Financing was a large part of what they did, and new entrants, new startups have great technology in the EV space, but maybe will not focus on financing, and maybe they don't have to, because if you look at financing now, it's more data based, right? Right. Before, financing was brand based, right? And the fundamental value of the product was because it's a Tata vehicle, for example, etc., etc. Right. But now with EV, you have data, you have the battery, which is a separate aspect, it has its own residual value. So I think you will see a lot more energy players, um, and a lot more horizontal financing companies sort of jumping in, and they are solving it. I think we're seeing enough startups solving this problem to enable retail ownership of these new age OEMs.
Interesting, but does that mean that we might see a day, it is already happening in the battery swap space, but would we see a day come wherein, if Mukul is buying, let's say, two electric three-wheelers, right? He would have the choice to get the electric three-wheeler financed separately from the battery and get the battery from Exponent financed separately? Can that happen? Is that a possibility?
I think it's definitely a possibility. I'm not saying we're doing it right away for sure, but today, because of fame, because subsidies, the easiest way is to sell a product together, right? And but as the ecosystem evolves, maybe in fame 4, maybe there's no subsidy upfront, but maybe there's a financing subsidy, right? So maybe there's a charging subsidy coming up in fame 3. So definitely, I think the focus is going to be more on sustainable financing and sustainable charging practices, moving away from giving a subsidy upfront. So as that happens, yes, you will see a lot more of innovation around energy as a service, right? And I mean, for example, if you go buy a laptop today, right, you can say, listen, I want an AMD or an Intel, I want i5, i7,
Hmm. Hmm.
Windows, OS, I want NVIDIA graphics, this. So you are fundamentally able to, and then there are multiple software configurations on top of that. So you're able to make fundamental hardware choices and software choices, and you're able to have that personalized experience. And I think that's what EVs will allow. So maybe you go into one of an OEM, you can say, I want a sun mobility swap solution or an exponent rapid charging solution, or I'm okay with a slow charging solution because I have parking at home, right? Um, so whatever works for you, and you'll have cost structures, all of that. And maybe you'll buy the battery up front if you want it, maybe do a service. So I think there'll be multiple packages there as well, where you can choose your energy partner, you can choose your financing model, and it's fairly easy for all this to be customized as an end customer.
Interesting. Arun, one more question that stems out of that is for a fleet owner who,
Yeah,
let's say, is having 20 electric three wheelers charged by Exponent, right? Now he wants to buy one of your charging stations as well, right?
yeah.
Can he come to you and tell you that I want to buy it on finance? Can you help me with that? Would the banks help you in that, or would some
And the
loans?
charging station.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I am buying, let's say I am buying 20, I think Altigreen is one of your partners, right?
yeah,
I say that I am buying 20 Altigreen
yeah,
electric three wheelers for my fleet, but then I don't want to use the Exponent's existing, stations. I want to
yeah,
put one of my own, so that which solely
yeah,
caters to me, right? To my
yeah,
needs. Can I do that? Can I come to you
yeah.
and tell you, hey Arun, I am a fleet owner and I want this finance. Can you help me?
We
Or
actually
would
already do that. So you don't have to
okay,
go to the bank. Exponent solves that problem for you. We
okay.
actually give you a captive charger as a service model. Um,
Hmm.
uh, Now, we just recently launched in a few cities where we've already started a captive model. Even in Bangalore, we actually started with a captive model, but very quickly went public. But the fundamental reality is public stations do far better, right?
Huh.
Because that captive network only serves, say, 20 vehicles, but a public network, a single network, serves all the way up to 70 to 80 unique vehicles in a month because they're all cross utilizing. So, profitability wise, sustainability wise,
I think Arun has had some problem with the internet. Let's wait for just 2 more minutes and he'll be back. I think was Arun was trying to. Arun, yeah, you were saying.
sorry, I don't know what happened there, but yeah. So fundamentally,
No problem. No problem.
these public networks always do better from respect to cross utilization, and also the drivers love public networks. Drivers don't want to go back. The concept of hubs don't exist in diesel vehicles, right? I mean, I just take my vehicle, I park it on the road, and I do what I want. I don't need to go to hub, right? So we are able to even in Bangalore, while we have a few captive vehicles, the public networks seem to do quite better. But of course, fleets sometimes want captive networks. We support them, but that's an option already.
One last question around finance, and then we talk about you more. Exponent more. So, do you think, as a closing statement on the finance thing that we've been discussing, do you think that easier availability of finance to electric three wheeler OEMs, is something that would mean more business and more EV adoption for Exponent Energy for India? Is that true? Would that be true, or is that
Yeah, see,
something?
India is a very credit hungry industry country. It, anyone anywhere, if you're able to give credit, you will do more business. That's fundamentally the
Huh,
status of
huh,
where India is. Everything from going abroad to study to electric vehicles, and electric vehicles in the commercial vehicle space even more so because it's a high ticket price item. It's also you're selling to someone who probably doesn't have all that money in the bank, right? So definitely financing is a huge aspect here. And while fleets, large B2B fleets like who can run captive hubs, is already going electric. In fact, have already gone electric fully. The larger, I would say, the retail customer still has to figure this out, and financing has not been sorted completely for that industry. It's a huge opportunity, and like I said, it's a combination of OEMs working together because OEMs have to provide good service, good residual value confidence for financiers to get into it. Energy companies like us have to get into it. Financiers have to get into it. So you will see a lot more collaboration among these three types of players to unlock financing. And yes, if financing is solved, I mean, we have actual data. I mean, if you look at our demand funnel, there's enough drop-offs where after customers like, I want to buy a vehicle, but financing nahi hai, right? So there are enough data, and this I'm talking in the retail space, right? So definitely, like if we had better financing, we would have a lot more demand already.
Hmm, hmm. So why do you think are the larger institutions, the NBFCs, they're not, going ahead with the full flow and helping in getting more CEV finance, especially from the new brands?
I think those are three things we spoke about, right? I mean, if you look at the
Huh.
standard product, EV product today, battery life, asset life is low, vulnerability risk is very high. So these two risks put together, I really don't want to get my thing. So
Huh,
NBFC
huh.
is standard NBFC understands the residual value. So I understand Tata Ace ka residual value.
Hmm, hmm,
Mostly don't understand the residual value of an electric vehicle. Also, most electric vehicles in the three-wheeler space, for example, went out in 2020. Right, you start seeing first sale 2020, 2021. So now you're starting to see a residual values pattern being built up in 23, 24, 25. So you'll see a lot more conventional NBFCs sort of jump in 25, 24, 25. So sort of saying, "Hartika, I now have a pattern." But I think that approach will be subpar. I think the financing companies that are already looking at data today and taking better bets on financing, I think they will win.
hmm, hmm. Perfect. So, Arun, do you think that for next 2 3 years with the financing in the E3W space, because you talk to a lot of OEMs, would that be led by local localized finance institutions or bigger finance institutions which have pan India presence? Because I am asking this because I have seen a lot of traction in the E3W space in tier 3 tier 4 geographies in India through local finance agencies which may be particularly are just focusing on a state like Uttar Pradesh or 2 3 states, Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, and then Madhya Pradesh. Do you think this is the future for 2 3 years, or do you think that before that happens, these larger banks will take over?
Um, See, at the end of the day, in financing, your gunpowder, your raw material is capital, right?
Yeah.
So large established companies have an advantage there because they have the raw material better. But that aside, there is now a new aspect, like I talked about, which is understanding the data, making sense out of that. Even the uh, time to disperse the entire experience of financing. To look at both of this, I think you'll see a lot of collaborative models, right, coming up. I mean, if you look at neo banking, if you look at some of a lot of banking solutions today, I think there you have fintech in the front end, and you have fundamental solutions being provided by the banks in the back end, and these are strong collaboration. It's a win-win. Right? Both companies are work winning and the customers winning. So I think you will see a lot of such collaborations happening in the space.
Perfect. Now, Arun, back to Exponent Energy. You're right now present only in the electric three-wheeler space, right? But then this is that we've spoken about it. You've told me a lot of things about it. How are you talking to any larger vehicle OEMs? Are you talking to also passenger vehicle OEMs? Where is Exponent Energy headed from here?
So right now we're exclusively focused on commercial vehicles.
Okay.
The reason is our question is very simple. How do we build the largest network in India in the fastest possible manner with the least money spent? In some sense, how do you get that large network very quickly profitable? The answer is simply commercial vehicles, right? Like it's just a commercial vehicle has 10x more, like a three wheeler has 10x more energy than a two wheeler, right? So two wheelers, passenger vehicles, even the highway, buses and trucks become really the energy hungry machines as against passenger cars. So and commercial vehicles like a bus, for example, is fixed routes, predictable demand. Same as commercial vehicles in the city, always on the road, consuming crazy amounts of energy. So for us, it's very clear intracity, intercity, better commercial vehicles, build out the network ASAP. And of course, as we build out the network, we will possibly look at technology licensing partnerships in the passenger vehicle space. And I think that's quite some time away. So probably too early to be discussing that. But yeah, it's commercial vehicle space all the way through. So we're doing three-wheeler cargo, three-wheeler passengers coming out soon, and of course, definitely an intercity bus.
And how soon is the intercity bus coming out?
You'll definitely see it on road sometime next year.
Okay, okay, perfect. Now, Arun, is it easy to replicate the technology that you have built in a battery swap station? Can that be done? Would you be open to do that?
It's not a bad idea. In fact, problem with swap station today is the first couple of guys have the swap very quickly, and then for the rest of
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
battery is out.
They have to wait.
Exactly, because the battery is taking too long to charge. So,
Mm, mm,
and so which means you need a larger battery inventory. So definitely, there's a large value in rapid charging swap batteries, and maybe for the two-wheeler e-rickshaw space, these are markets that Exponent's not really focused on directly. So we do sense a collaboration sometime. I think now it's a question of bandwidth also. As a startup, you want to be razor sharp focused, get your few things right. So I think we're sort of figuring out. How to stay as focused as possible, because in the EV space right now, can like there's so much demand.
uh,
Sometimes you can get a little excited and chase too many things, which in the short term might actually be great,
uh.
but may not be necessarily the right thing long term.
I don't, of everything that you told me, what I caught was that you sense a possible collaboration in the battery swap field. You just said that. So are you already exploring battery swap as in as
No,
one
no,
of the
no. I said it's a possibility for us to license our tech in that space,
okay.
but like I said, from a focus point of view, all we're doing right now is three-wheeler cargo, three-wheeler passenger bus. That's it, and those will be through our standard battery pack of our own.
Would you be, is Exponent Energy focused on India right now, or are you also focusing on some international markets?
Right now, just India. Right, India is a large problem. In fact, I think if you can solve India first, you can solve for the world much easier. If you solve for India's temperature conditions, road conditions, grid conditions, price points, you can really make this work anywhere else in the world.
But once I am sure that you've already started analyzing this. Once you've solved the India part, where do you think are which geographies do you think are perfect match for tech that's being developed in India? Where they can be, they are like just plug and play.
No, we have such a long way forward to solve for India. So right now, I think we're just focused on that. So really,
Okay.
no comments on it. Like I said, everything that we talked about, which is passenger vehicles, do we enable swap, do we do new countries? These are all things that I think we'll probably do phase three, phase four for Exponent. But right now, it's just expanding in India and solving for solid for India.
And what are your views on the electronic manufacturing ecosystem and the way it is developing in the country? Now that I'm sure that I think last time we spoke, I think it was 90 or 95% of the components that you're designing yourself, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yeah.
Are you finding the support ecosystem for getting those manufactured via the contract route also easy? Is the quality getting better? What's your feedback on that?
Uh, Definitely improving. I think we've been seeing this for the last 10 years now. And I think you're now starting to see a lot more NPD phase focused EMSs, um, right? Like in 2013, if you wanted to prototype your components, the time to prototype was quite complicated. In fact, sometimes it was easier to get from China, right? But now you're starting to see that change. You can do quick turnaround times in India. You have EMSs who can give you 500 pieces a month. You have EMSs that can give 5 pieces a month. You have EMSs that can give you 5,000 and 50,000 pieces a month. So you're now starting to see that really nice spectrum of EMSs who can support your company and your product development cycle. So that's fantastic. A lot of the passives, a lot of the microcontrollers still are imported. Um, that's still not done locally. So I think at some point of time, that's still from a self-sustenance point of view, India needs to look at it. And of course, cells, not electronic component, but cells need to be locally made. So these are, I think, things that India needs to get self-sufficient on.
Okay. Perfect. Arun, let's take two, three questions from the audience, and then I think. So, first question, Arun, is from the audience: is battery swap and fast charging going to coexist? Are these competitors, or do these complement each other?
See, at the end of the day, rapid charging is a problem that needs solving, and I think that I was giving the example of swap, where even in swap, uh, you need to rapid charge a swap battery. Right? I mean, let's say your swap station, you have two, three vehicles coming in and out every hour. you're going to run out of batteries unless you rapid charge the battery. So rapid charging is the inevitable problem, right? Think of it as a supply chain problem, right? Like you have more vehicles on the road consuming more energy, you need to transfer energy from the grid to the vehicle faster and faster. It's an energy supply chain problem, right? Having said that, if you look at larger form factors, I think we're talking three-wheelers, four-wheelers, truck, and you're talking 100 kg batteries all the way to a few 3 tons in 2 tons in the bus, right? So it's really next to impossible, I think, to swap these things out. Especially if you look at how these vehicles are integrated. I mean, the best vehicles have batteries deeply integrated inside the chassis. For you to say, I want these vehicle batteries on the peripheral, try to remove them, it's fairly complicated. So I think swap has its place in two-wheelers and e-rickshaws. I think it's quick, but even they would need rapid charging. So I think there's a case to collaborate, and I think there's also a case to coexist of different segments. I fundamentally believe in rapid charging is the eventual solution in every segment because it allows OEMs to build different types of products, right? Every OEM, I mean, I mean, imagine telling Bajaj, Hero, Honda, come, all of you build vehicle on the same engine, right? They're going to say no way, right? So if you really want great innovation, you want OEMs to keep designing, building better products, and for that you need to keep changing the battery, keep customizing battery, keep improving every bit of the vehicle, including the battery and the motor and everything else. So sort of getting stuck to a particular type of battery sometimes can actually hinder that progress. And that's from the cost point of view. If you really want the battery, and we talked about battery life, so if you really want the battery to last the longest, you want it deeply integrated into the vehicle and sort of fixed. I mean, sort of removing batteries every time will really affect life and performance of the battery, and that further deters the cost advantage.
Understood. Now, the second question, Arun, is that the tech is your tech is good, but why don't you help the PV industry with 3,000 cycles warranty? That could be a game changer for that.
Like I said, I think it's a question of it's not something we're against. It's just I think, like I said, any startup has it's just the focus, right, and number of things you can do. And for us, we see a very direct line of sight advantage in the commercial vehicle space. It's a core need. Rapid charging is a core need. The timeline to work with OEMs, timeline to remove, say, a battery A and then put in our battery. Commercial vehicles are built a little more like boxes, so it's much easier to swap out batteries than, say, a passenger car where the packaging is far more intricate, etc. So these are the reasons why we focus on commercial vehicles. Like I said, the ultimate answer is energy. Like if our metric is how much energy are we selling, then commercial vehicles is really the place to go.
Perfect. Thanks a ton, thanks a ton, Arun, for speaking to us today. Anything that you would like to share before we say goodbye and meet again soon?
No, thanks so much, Mugul. I think great job talking about the EV space today. Well, I think India's definitely got the opportunity to lead EVs. Last time vehicles were built, India wasn't a free country. I think now there's a global reset. Everyone's trying to figure out how to build EVs. India's got great R&D, great manufacturing, one of the largest local markets. And like I said, India's a hard place. If you can make in batteries work for India, you can make them work anywhere in the world. So I think like fintech, India's leapfrog the world in innovation. I think with energy tech as well, India will lead. So
Perfect. Thanks a ton, Arun, for speaking to us, and goodbye until we meet again.
thank you so much. Thank you.